The kitchen is the most important part of the entire house, and the reason being that that's where the food you put into your body is prepared and stored. So many sicknesses and diseases have been linked to having an unhygienic and unkept kitchen, and one of the contributing factors to an unhygienic kitchen is having lots of pests in your kitchen. This is the reason why it's important that your kitchen should stay pest-free at all times. In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you some tips on how you can keep your kitchen pest-free at all times and literally kick all of the asses of the pests to the curb. Let's get right into it, shall we? The very first tip that I'm going to give you is for you to close up all openings that may lead to the exterior part of the house where these pests can just seep through or leak through and then just come into the kitchen. No matter how tiny the hole may be, pests, especially rats and cockroaches, can find their way through the tiniest of holes into your kitchen space. So take the time to go take a look around your kitchen and identify or pinpoint any holes that may be leading to the external parts of your house where these pests can just seep through and come into your kitchen. There's so many materials that you can use to cover them up. I personally had a pest problem at some point because I didn't know that underneath my door had a little space where rats literally would come in through and come into my kitchen. I was wondering, where are these rats coming in from? Until I was able to identify the opening right underneath my door where the rats and other pests were coming in from. So if you take a proper look, you may be able to identify some holes and spots where these pests are coming in from the external world into your kitchen. That's the very first tip on my list. The second point on my list would be avoid packing and abandoning things at different corners in the kitchen. Now, so many people are used to just dumping things that they have not used in weeks and months at different parts of the kitchen, just cluttering up the entire place. Now, pests have a thing for dark, cool, undisturbed corners. So when you have dumped a lot of items that you don't move around on maybe a daily or a weekly basis, pests can just find their comfort zone there and just habitate there. And that is definitely what you do not want. So if you go into your kitchen right now and find a corner where you have a lot of things just packed up in one place that you haven't even touched in maybe 1 month or 2 months or 3 months, it's time to declutter it and throw out what you may not need. If you have not used it in 2 months or 3 months, chances are you may never need it again. So throw it out or give it away or give it out or just find somewhere away from the kitchen to pack up all of those items so that pests will not find a dwelling place in that spot, okay? The third point that I've written down here, and this one is for people who have pantry or storage areas. Sometimes you can literally forget to clean out or deep clean your storage or your pantry areas. And it's important that you deep clean or you clean it out and sanitize it at least once every month. Storage areas are comfort zones for pests because you have all of your food ingredients, your food items stored up there, and the smell may just attract the pests, especially if you have them already lurking around in your kitchen. So once every month, do a deep clean of your storage area, wipe things down, throw out expired products, throw out things that you know you may never need. Just wipe everywhere down, clean with clean water and vinegar or warm water and soapy water. There are various cleaning agents that you can use to just sanitize your storage and your pantry area so that they stay clean at all times. And pests will not be able to live or dwell in that space, okay? Before we continue, remember that you can now order a copy of my cookbook, Winnie's Sizzling Selections. For those who are looking to maintain a healthy lifestyle this year, this cookbook has over 100 recipes that you can choose from. Mouth-watering, easy to make, affordable, and what else? It's definitely a recipe book that you need, and even if you don't need it, you can gift it as a gift to your family members and your friends who love to cook. It's the perfect birthday gift, perfect Easter gift, perfect gift for whatever occasion. So grab a copy or two. I'm going to put a link in the description box down below on how you can get a copy for yourself. And even if you don't need it and you don't have a friend who wants a gift, you can also just use support us. I put a lot of work into creating this cookbook. It's actually my brainchild, so you can just support us by buying a copy or two for anyone who may need it. Okay, all right guys, let's get back into the video. The next point that I've put down here on my list will be keep your countertop and the surfaces in your kitchen area as free and as clear as possible. The only things that should be on your countertop are things that you probably use on a regular basis or things that you're using to decorate your kitchen space. Everything else should be put away in different storage. I'm sure your kitchen probably has cupboards and other storage areas. Put out everything else that you don't really use on a daily basis. Put it away in the storage areas and just ensure that your countertop stays clear and free at all times. Some people are in the habit of always clustering things on their countertops, and sometimes when you are cooking, the smell of the food that you're making rests on the things that are on your countertop, and that smell would attract pests and insects and whatnot into your kitchen, and that's definitely not what you want. So you want to always ensure that your countertop stays clean and clear at all times. Another point that I have here is do a thorough deep clean of your entire kitchen at least once every week, but always do a surface clean every day of the week. So a deep clean once every week would include things like clearing out the cupboards, ensuring that the cupboards are cleaned out correctly, cleaning out the refrigerator, cleaning your gas cooker, the stove top, cleaning out the oven, literally all of the appliances, cleaning out the cupboards, ensuring that everywhere is literally clean and sparkling. And then the surface cleaning can just be ensuring that you clean out the surface, ensure that the sink is always clean and kept clean at all times, the trash is always taken out at all times. So a deep clean once a week and a surface clean every day of the week. Okay, now moving right along to the sink area. The sink area is one area that can harbor pests, insects, and all those things that are very annoying if you do not know how to properly take care of the sink area. The first point that I've put down under the sink area would be to clean out your sink drainage. Sometimes when you have washed and washed and washed and washed and washed things, you literally, if you go in through the drainage pipe, you find that there's a lot of food particles, oil stains and all in that pipe, which can actually cause pests to come in from the external part of your house into your house, especially if you don't have a drainage that is sealed. So clean out your drainage at least once every week, and the easiest way to do that is just boil up some hot water, put a lot of baking soda or baking powder in the sink or the drainage, and then some lemon water as well, and then just put a lot of hot water through that drainage, and it will melt out any oil particles or whatever particles that have formed in your drainage. So it's very important that you're paying attention to your sink drainage. The second point that I've put down under the sink area would be avoid leaving dirty dishes in the sink overnight. When you know that you're done eating for the day, the kitchen is closed for the day, ensure that you are either washing out the dishes in the sink or you load it up in the dishwasher if you have a dishwasher. And if you do not want to wash it, peradventure you probably are tired, which I don't advise, but I mean, life happens. If you don't want to wash it and you don't have a dishwasher, the best advice would be to soak the plates or whatever that is dirty in the sink and then just put a lot of water inside of it. That way, pests can survive in water. So soak the dirty dishes in the sink and then leave it, and then the next day you can wash it. But my top advice would be for you to ensure that you wash your dirty dishes before you go to bed every day, okay? Now, the next point is very important as well. Keep the area under the sink moist-free. Now, pests thrive in very dark, damp, and humid environments. Sometimes it's easy to forget what's happening under the sink because, I mean, it's not a part that you usually would go to very often. But as often as possible, ensure that the under part of the sink is moist-free. Water can easily leak through the pipes and just keep pouring into the cupboard, and before you know it, you are just somehow pests just gravitate towards that area, and then you have a lot of pests lurking around there. So ensure that that part is moist free. Clean it down as much as possible. Once you're done washing, Open it up to check to see if there's any water leaking in it. And if there is, just clean it out with a dry cloth and ensure that it stays dry at all times, okay? Moving away from the sink area, something else that you must do to ensure that you're keeping your kitchen pest-free would be to take out your trash every day. The kitchen is one place where you're using a lot of organic food items that when they start to decay, the smell becomes terrible. And if you leave that organic decayed food items in your kitchen, smelling that way, of course, it will not just spoil the air in the entire house, it would also attract pests, flies. There's these tiny flies that just perch around decayed foods. It would even create worms and things from growing out of it. And that's not a very good look. So always ensure that you're throwing out your trash every single day. You can designate that responsibility to a member of the house and make it their job. Every day, make sure you take out the trash. And of course, after you're done taking out the trash, ensure that you're washing the dustbin thoroughly. One way that you can ensure that your dustbin stays clean is to invest in dustbin bags, those very big black bags that you can just tuck into the bin. And once it's filled up, you can just tie it around and then just throw it out in the garbage area. So it's important that you are taking out your trash every day and you're washing your dustbin thoroughly every day to avoid pests from habitating there, okay? Another thing that you must do would be do not leave food items exposed either on the countertop or in whatever area. Do not leave food items exposed, because when you leave food items exposed that way, trust me, when a rat is in your kitchen and there's a food item exposed, even if a rat is not in your kitchen, rats have a sense of smell that they can perceive things from 10 million miles away. That's an exaggeration, but you get what I mean. They literally can perceive things happening. So ensure that your food items are always properly covered and stored correctly where they ought to be stored, okay? Another point that I've put down here is when you are cooking your meals, ensure that you ventilate your entire kitchen. Open up the windows, turn on your heat extractor if you have that. Heat extractor not just extracts heat, it also extracts the smell of the food that you're cooking. If you do not open up your windows or turn on your heat extractor, what can happen is the smell of the food will rest on different items in the kitchen. It can rest on your cotton, it can rest on the appliances that can absorb smell, it will rest on utensils. And what happens when the food smell rests on the items in your kitchen is, like I said before, rats and things actually have a very high, big sense of smell. And when they perceive things, they can easily just come into your kitchen and start looking everywhere, looking for where the food is. So it's important that you're ventilating your entire space, open up the windows, turn on the extractor when you are cooking. Another point that I've put down here that would avoid or prevent pests from coming into your kitchen would be clean as you go. As you're cooking, clean as you go. If you make a mess on the countertop, if you make a mess, sometimes people say I'm a lot extra. When I'm cooking and there's a mess on my stove area, I pause the cooking. In fact, sometimes I go as far as turning off the fire, removing the pot, and cleaning down the cooker before I continue cooking. That's my standard practice, and it has actually helped me maintain my kitchen cooker for so long. This one, I think this studio was built, I think, over 5 years ago, and we're still using the same gas cooker that we've been using since we moved into the studio. And so that's one thing. Apart from keeping the pests away, it also helps you maintain your kitchen appliances correctly. So if you're cooking, clean down everywhere. If you're using utensils and pots, clean them as you go. When you're done cooking as well, wash out the pots immediately, wash out the utensils immediately, except unless maybe you have food stuck to your pot and you have to soak it, but still soak it in a very neat way and then wash it off as soon as you can. So when you are cooking, clean as you go and then wash off the utensils and the pots and the plates and everything else that you're using to cook as soon as you are done cooking. Trust me, it may not look like the pests are staying away because of that practice, but over time you find out that it's actually a hygienic and a clean standard practice that you must maintain that in the long run keeps the pests out of your kitchen, okay? Now to the storage area of the kitchen. I highly recommend that you invest in airtight storage containers to store all of your food ingredients and your food items. Do not or avoid storing your food items in the packaging that they came in, like the cartons and the plastics and all. One, of course, apart from aesthetics purposes, it's actually also a way to keep germs and the pests away from your food products. So if you're using very airtight containers to store your food items, there's no way possible that pests would find its way into your food ingredients. And then for those pests that find their way into the food ingredients, even using airtight containers like your weevil, the rice weevils, you have the different ones when you store things like rice, gari, flour, and you see all of those black things moving around in it, even with the airtight containers. Something you can do that I found very helpful would be to add some spices like cloves, whole cloves, or star anise, or bay leaves into the airtight containers with the food ingredients inside of it. Those food items actually, those spices actually prevent those tiny little annoying things from growing and grooming themselves in your food items. So one thing is store your food items in airtight containers, and for things like your whole grains, like your rice, your beans that are easily attacked by weevil, just ensure that you're putting things like whole cloves, star anise, and bay leaves inside it so that they do not form inside of them. When I was actually researching this episode, and I actually found out how these weevils and things grow inside your products, guys. You need to go and research on it to find out, because sometimes you think, oh, you open your food and you see just one. You come back 3-4 days later, you are seeing 100 or 200 at the same time in your food. You wonder, how did these things grow? I was amazed at what I found, and I think I want you to go and do the research so you can find out how they're grown as well. It's just very... The last point on my list would be just general tips. The first general tip would be take pest control measures. If your kitchen has been infected with pests, you see one ant, one fly, one rat, or one cockroach, at least you see it at least once or twice every week, you need to take pest control measures by either one, just fleeting the entire kitchen with insecticide. Of course, remember to wash down thoroughly after you have flipped the house with the kitchen. Something else you can do if it's really, really bad, it's time for you to fumigate the entire kitchen, or maybe the entire house, or maybe even your entire compound. That's a major pest control measure that you can take. The second one that I've put down here is have an effective cleaning routine. Invest in cleaning items. There's so many cleaning products that you can find in the supermarket, but if you want to make yours quickly at home, it will just be to add vinegar to water, mix it together, and just use it to clean down your entire area. But regardless, have an effective cleaning routine. Clean out your fridge. Don't leave your fridge for years and years untouched without cleaning it out. Clean out your fridge, clean out the storage areas, the cupboards, clean out your cooker, clean out everywhere. Your kitchen should always be sparkling clean at all freaking times. Because again, like I said at the beginning of this video, that is where the food you put into your body is prepared and stored. You want to ensure that it is always clean at all times, so that at least you're preventing any form of sickness and disease that would come from an unhygienic kitchen from happening to you or your family members, especially if you have children. So please kindly always ensure that your kitchen is kept in a clean and organized condition at all times. Okay, that's all I have for you guys for today's episode. I'll see you again with another episode. Until then, remember, stay very kind to one another and keep your kitchen as clean as possible. Take care, guys.